What is good, fight fans? It's Sash's Corner. And I've been looking for Frank Martin. I like Frank Martin. I like how he approaches the sport for real. I like the fact that he'll fight anybody, it seems. And he's back, it seems like, at 140 pounds. And one of my favorite interviewers, Brian Custer, did an interview with him, I believe, yesterday. And I just want to sum up the interview, say his main points that he said during this interview, and give my thoughts. But for starters, Frank Martin does have a fight December 6th versus Rances Bartholomew, or however you pronounce his last name. But the Ghost is back at 140 pounds. And Frank Martin basically said that, he talked about his return. He talked about his split. He talked about who he wants next and what he plans to get at 140 pounds. He was asked if he wants the winner of Pitbull versus Roach. And he said, yeah, that would be dope. And either one of them would be best. Like, he don't pick one fighting one over the other. Whoever wins, he'll be down with fighting them. And I'm down with that, for real. He says that Roach is more skilled, but he's going with Pitbull to win the fight. He says Roach is a great counterpuncher, but Pitbull throws those 4s and 5s, meaning he throws 5-punch combinations, and it'll be hard to beat him because of that. And Roach's style. That was basically his point in saying why he's going with Pitbull to win the fight. And now that he fights at 140, he said that he's looking to fight Africa, Shakur Stevenson, and Keyshawn Davis. And I like those names for him, you know what I'm saying? I really do. There's a lot of people in that weight class for him to fight. And the same thing that I said when he started his career at 135, being that he was under Earl Spence. That was Earl Spence's fighter. Maybe he still is. I'm not even sure. But being that he was under Earl Spence, everybody was going to want a piece of him. And he really has a good resume. Even though Frank Martin has a loss versus Gervonta Davis, it's Gervonta Davis, and he's on his resume. You feel me? And Richardson Hitchens, better known as Africa, and Keyshawn Davis had some choice words to say to Frank Martin. And Brian Custer read them both out. Okay, so Africa basically told Frank Martin that somebody had to wake him up after that Tank fight because he got knocked out. And he said that he better go find something safe to play with. Now, Frank Martin replied, he is something safe to play with. He's replying that Richardson Hitchens is something safe to play with because he don't got no knockout power. And like he said, the man only has a jab, so he wants to fight him. And he said that he'll stop him if he fight Richardson Hitchens, which is the person he wants next at 140 pounds. And when it comes to Keyshawn Davis told Frank Martin that Gervonta Davis exposed him and showed him how much of a punk, or basically what he said, how much of a punk he is. And he replied that Keyshawn Davis, got something there. Like, he can fight or whatever. But he can only fight, versus guys that come forward, basically. And he can't fight nobody that's slick. And that's the reason why Keyshawn better stay away from fighting Frank Martin, because Frank Martin is a slick fighter and Frank Martin would beat him. That's one fight that I want next. Like, before, I don't see Africa giving him no title shot next, but I definitely want to see the Keyshawn Davis fight. Y'all can pick up right where you left off. First fight at 140, that would be great. Okay, well, second fight, because he about to fight Rances. Now, when it comes to Shakur Stevenson didn't have any words for Frank Martin that Brian Custer spoke about. But if this is somebody that Frank Martin won on his resume, I'm 1,000% for it. Frank Martin is, since what we've seen, he's used those fundamentals great that Derek James taught him. But if he did incorporate other styles or other things into his style, and now he's telling us that we're going to see a different fighter, a different style coming out of him at 140, he said that he should be himself now in the ring, and have more fun with it than than what he was, how he was previously fighting at 135 pounds, and that he'll be better at 140 since he holds a lot of muscle. When he was asked about the split with Derek James, he said his split with Derek James was a mutual split, that he did not just up and leave Derek James, and then there's no hard feelings in between him and Derek, but basically that he's a fundamental trainer and he wanted to add more to his arsenal. He said one day Derek James just texted him and said it was good that he was seeking other trainers, and basically they split like that. You feel me? Like, and that right there leaves questions all by itself. Like, seems like kind of Derek James kind of went the bullet route. Like, kind of was upset that you was going with other trainers. So you don't want. So he, was like, stay wherever you're gonna go. But I kind of don't. I don't really think that. Like, I think Derek James then told us that he only had 5 more fighters, and they were dropping off like flies. As far as him training, and he didn't want to train anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So. He admitted that Ranches, the guy that he's going to be fighting in December, is past his time. I believe his exact words is that he was a shot fighter. You know what I mean? So him saying what he said about Ranches tells me that he's going to put out a master performance and stop Ranches. But I don't know. Ranches is kind of awkward. He seems like a problem for a lot of people. But Ranches also don't be in exciting fights. So we'll see how this is. When he spoke, they asked him about Gervonta Davis, of course. And he said during the 5th round of that fight, he lost his legs, and he blamed it on the weight cut, and just said that he'll be a different fighter with a different style now at 140. He was asked who's the best at 140. He said Gary Antoine Russell. He said as far as the roughest and toughest, he would say Gary Antoine Russell. And for real, it's like it's everybody has, like, in every weight class you have the best of the best, and then you'll have the names that's not as good as the best of the best in the division. Some people would say because Shakur Stevenson is moving up and Keyshawn Davis is moving up and hasn't fought at 140, and the only champion that is a champion, a lot of people would say Richardson Hitchens. All three would be the lesser of the other evils in the division, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, as far as looking at the champions, some people would say Richardson Hitchens is the weakest. As far as looking at the top names of that division, some people would say Keyshawn Davis is the weakest. Shakur Stevenson is the weakest, being that they haven't fought one fight at the weight class. Those 3 names are big fights for him. But I think there's other fights as well that will be big fights for him in it. But to start with Keyshawn Davis is very understandable. I believe they have history. Shakur Stevenson, him and Frank Martin, they was going to fight each other, and he was going to sign to fight Shakur Stevenson, and he found out Shakur Stevenson was getting a buttload of money, and he wasn't, and he wanted more money, so he said no to the fight. I feel like being who Frank Martin is, he only has 1 loss versus Tank Davis. And the fact that, in my opinion, he can sell just as much or even more than Keyshawn Davis. I believe he sells more than Shakur Stevenson. He probably sells more than Richardson Hitchens, for real, because of how friendly of a style he has. You know what I'm saying? How entertaining his style is. So if he would want a title shot, being that this is about to be his first fight at 140 in December, I would see him going after Richardson Hitchens. But always like and subscribe to the channel. What you think about Frank? Peace.